Salmon of knowledge is the salmon of knowledge, the salmon of knowledge, it's the salmon of knowledge, salmon of knowledge, salmon of knowledge podcast. Hey, salmon skins, and welcome to the new continuing season of Edwin Salmon of Knowledge. I guess you could call this season 3. I've taken a hiatus for a number of months. Let's not count them. But I'm back. And this time, I'm not just talking shite by myself. I have other more qualified shite talkers. People who just don't talk shite. Like my wife, Cara Murphy. So we said we'd do an extra episode of this new season where I ask questions of Cara and she asks questions of me. And we learn things not just about the things we want to learn about that we don't know about, but about each other. And we maybe deepen our love and appreciation for each other. And stretch this marriage out by
5 years.
5 years.
Fingers crossed.
We'll see until
your second wife reaches puberty.
Yes. So let's move on from that potentially cancelling statement. What's that? Cara, you have been cancelled.
I'm okay with that.
Because, you think I would be the one being cancelled, but you're a woman. So it's much easier to cancel you.
Fair.
Because the parameters have changed. Which leads me to our topic for today, the movie Barbie.
Yes.
Because we both went to see Barbie together. Where did we go see it? Well, in Dundrum.
Dundrum.
Now, I would say...
Very disappointing meal pre-cinema.
What was the meal we had? I can't even remember. It was so
We had those
disappointing.
gourmet burgers that were just very disappointing.
Oh, yeah. It took a long time for the burgers to come as well. I thought they'd forgotten about us. They were very disappointing, but I kind of more or less inhaled it.
It's because we had 5 minutes to get to the cinema.
Oh, we didn't have 5
The
minutes.
chips were nice.
Yeah,
The bacon mix was good.
I always want to get to the cinema on time, with plenty of time, with too much time, and we had too much time.
But then we saw Barbie, which we loved.
Yeah, now... The screen itself wasn't like a giant screen, and I did notice that the screen was a little bit dirty.
Yeah, it looked like someone had been clawing at it.
Yeah, which was kind of ironic because Barbie is such a bright and shiny movie. The production design on it really kind of highlighted how dirty and old the Dundrum screens were. Like if I had a bit of Windowline, I would have like walked up there and been like, give me a stepladder and I'll clean this bitch. But
people would love that even more than the shushing. You really enjoy shushing people
Oh,
in the cinema, don't you?
I love shushing people
I didn't
in
know
cinema.
that about you. That was a whole new thing that I'd never seen before.
Well, you know how I have this kind of righteous indignation
Yeah.
when it comes to things. But it's proved right and correct in the cinema because you just don't talk in the cinema. And I got to tell foreign people to shut up as well.
But like, the film hadn't even started.
No, the film
ads were on.
The film had started. I never shush people with trailers or ads. That's
okay, maybe
fine.
it was a minute into it or something.
But the minute the movie starts, and these people who, for some reason, think that when people aren't speaking dialogue in a motion picture, that somehow it's okay to talk.
Just for context for our listeners, these were two prepubescent boys who were really excitedly talking about how much they were looking forward to seeing the Barbie movie. And Ed, a grown man, leaned over and went, "Shh, I'll tell you what, lads, if you can keep your voices down." Or what did you say? It was something like, I think you called them lads.
Did I call them lads?
Something like that, yeah. Maybe you called them boys.
I call everyone lads. I think I just said, let's just keep it down, please. Thanks very much. Be polite about it.
It was real dad energy.
Yeah. I mean, like I've said much more dickheady things to people who've been talking in the cinema. One time I turned around to these two guys and was like, guys, you're not at home. Just, keep it down a bit. Thanks very much.
Wow.
Because they're acting like they're at home.
I would happily sit there in like silence while two people had a full conversation before I would lean over and say it.
No, fuck that. I absolutely, not that I seek it out, kind of in a way. Like, like if someone heckles me at a gig, I kind of go, oh, this is great. Because I know...
And yet, when you're heckled at home, you make that sad face and you get all sad.
It's a different kind of heckling. Your heckling is real. Cuts to the core of me. You know how to do that.
Thank you.
Like, that's why you're banned from all of my gigs.
That and you talk about our sex life, which I never want to hear you commenting on.
Sure, but I asked you if that was okay.
Got a blowjob last year, ladies and gentlemen.
Now let me give you the blow by blow, pun intended. First there was a blow, and then, oh, that's it, it's over. So please do come see me do stand-up. Check out my Instagram at Edwin Salmon, EdwinSammon, to hear all about my wife and I's sex life in glorious and hilarious detail. But we're not here to talk about sex. In fact, it is a kind of a weird one with Barbie, because in some ways it's a very sexy movie, a lot of sexy people in it, but it's not a sexy movie at all, because it's about ideas. And it's about, well, what do you think it's about, Cara?
I didn't think that it was sexy at all, because they all make jokes about not having anything down there. So they're sexualized, but not sexy in any way.
Yeah.
Or they can't understand the concept of sex.
Yeah, yeah.
When they go to the real world, then Barbie suddenly starts feeling what it feels like to be sexualized in a way she never has before in a female-centric world. I also thought it was really interesting from a queer point of view that how weird Barbie is.
Kate McKinnon
is on the fringes, and she is kind of seen as someone who's helpful when needed, but not involved in the Barbie world. And then you've got Alan, I read him as a queer character as well, that he wasn't one of the Kens, he wasn't one of the Barbies, he was sort of a standalone, but gravitated more towards the female-centric, softer society than the Kens all building and beating. But then he was able to beat up 5 Kens when he needed to. So,
okay, well, maybe we should say spoiler alert. I think if you are listening to this episode, we're going to assume that you've seen the Barbie movie.
Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. I mean, look, this is the thing, that there's lots of episodes about this movie out at the moment because it is such a phenomenon. So Alan is played by Michael Cera, who has been somewhat of an action hero before in Scott Pilgrim versus the World. He does a lot of fight stuff. But we should say, and we have said, we'll say it again, we'll get into kind of major spoilers. And let me ask you this. What did you expect the movie to be like going in? Had you seen the trailer?
I'd seen the trailer. I thought it was going to be much more of a kind of whimsical fantasy comedy, I think was how I imagined it. And then it was much more evocative than I expected it to be. I mean, there was parts of it that I was welling up with tears. I was laughing out loud. I had this knot in my stomach at parts. There's a part where America Ferrera makes this amazing speech. Yeah. And I was like, yes. And it was just, I couldn't be prepared for how amazing it was. Like, I loved every second of it. I want to watch it forever, and I want to make children watch it in schools. All children, all schools.
Yeah, I think her speech was incredible because it is the sort of thing that could be done so badly and has been done very badly in movies. It's a culmination of all the ideas and all the characters' wants and desires, and it reaches a peak, and she has this big speech moment which, you know, could so very easily be like an eye-rolling, oh my God, this is kind of hitting the nail too firmly on the head. But I think in some ways the tagline on the poster sums it up, which kind of confused me before I'd seen the movie, where it's, you know, she's everything, he's just Ken. You know, and it's one of these things where how do you tackle an intellectual property, as these things are now called, and Barbie being a huge brand name. And in some ways, like the Lego movie before, as in that, you know, Lego wanted to make a movie about Lego. They just gave it to Lord and Miller, the directing duo, and basically said, here's X amount of millions, do whatever you want, just make it entertaining, make it funny, and make it somewhat about Lego and what Lego is. You know, and the message of that movie is, you know, everyone is a master builder and use your imagination, and you can, you know, open up portals to happiness. Sounds like I'm a drug dealer. The first Legos for free. And in a similar way, Greta Gerwig, whom very interestingly has directed, obviously she started off as an actor, and she directed Lady Bird and was given this massive movie because it's got a pretty big budget and it's made 700, maybe 800 million at the time of this recording. By the time this goes out, it's probably going to be close to 1 billion.
Yay.
I mean, the Barbie doll, was that something that you played with as a child?
No, I preferred Cindy. I thought Barbie was a little bit too racy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, didn't like her.
Racy in what way?
The way she was dressed, the way I thought she was very sexy.
Yeah.
Whereas Cindy was more of a safe doll. And I loved Sylvanian families as well.
Yeah.
And much preferred them. So I clearly was kind of...
Sylvanian families, by the way, is sort of Victorian era repressed teddy bears.
Well, they're all different woodland families who live
and
in giant
rabbits.
woodland houses.
Yeah.
And then they all have different personalities. They have different outfit choices.
Yeah.
I would say my parents probably spent over $1,000
On
buying
Sylvanian
me
families.
on tiny Sylvanian families.
And where are they now?
I think I just threw them out.
Yeah, I haven't seen a single Sylvanian family.
No, I wouldn't be surprised if they were up in the attic. My mum had put them really carefully away, but I would never find them. That attic is impossible to get into.
In 50 years,
Yeah.
Our kids will find them. And be like, they're worth millions.
Yeah, maybe they will be. But yeah, Barbie was never my doll. And I don't think I knew anyone who did massively resonate with Barbie.
Yeah.
And a few people I've said about the Barbie film too, who haven't seen it yet, I've been like, oh, have you seen Barbie? And they've said, no, I don't care for Barbie. Also found her very sexualized, don't like the idea of it. And I was like, oh, no, that's not what the film's about. It's a complete opposite of that. But it's interesting how women in their 40s are having very visceral, very emotional reactions to Barbie as a concept. And just like, no, I don't like her. In a way that you wouldn't really think of. Do you know what else I loved?
What?
Polly Pockets.
Oh, well, we're going to get to that.
Are we?
We're going to get to that shortly. But I would just like to talk about the genius of the movie for me was not only Margot Robbie's performance.
Yeah, which was incredible.
Which I thought was, she really is the hardest job to do. A lot of people are saying Ryan Gosling is quote unquote stealing the movie or whatever, but he exists and his character exists in opposition to Barbie, but also Ken was made as an accessory to Barbie and was made to look sort of non-threatening and teenaged because initially the design was he was older. Basically, they didn't want to be teaching kids about the when a man and a woman love each other very much kind of stuff, which is why he's got
They rub their plastic genitals together.
That's it, yeah. And they make a little smooth, round little egg baby with no genitals or features.
From pregnant Barbie.
from the pregnant Barbie, which features in the movie.
Yeah.
All the Barbies in Barbie Land have all the jobs, including being president, and all the Kens are literally just there as accessories and are just wanting to get attention from Barbie, and their job is beach. And they're very ill-defined characters.
Every female character in a Martin Scorsese film. Your role is wife. Just be generally vaguely wife-ish.
Yes. We can't get it. This is a separate episode where you eventually...
Cara just monologues an explosion of rage about all the Martin Scorsese films you've made me watch.
Well, look, it's the Irish man, not the Irish woman. That's all I'm going to say, but you've never seen that.
Thank God.
Yes.
I did see it. Made me watch it in the end.
Oh, you don't remember
I
it.
hated it.
But you don't remember it. I think you fell asleep.
Yeah, it was so boring.
Then you didn't watch it.
I did. You
How could
watched
you
it
watch-
with me. You were perched up like an inch away from the screen. Just it's so amazing. I love Martin Scorsese. He's such a visual masterpiece. And that's when I started falling asleep.
That's why you laughed very hard when one of the Kens is explaining The Godfather.
Yes. I've lived that life. I've been that person. Also, the line, go play guitar at her.
Yeah, yeah.
I really enjoyed how much I was in stitches laughing at all of those typical men tropes. And you were like, ha, ha, ha. And I was like, I'm laughing at you.
Hey, I was laughing at it too. Because I recognise myself in it.
And all men.
An old man.
You're just two-dimensional characters.
yeah. Which I guess is why the movie has triggered all these kind of right-wing Ben Shapiro types. All these weedy little excuses for men who are, feel that the movie is an attack on men. And there is an element of men being made to look ridiculous. But it comes from a real place, as I recognize my own, mansplaining tendencies, which I've tried to curtail as much as I can. Please stop laughing, Cara. You're ruining the validity of my statement. But also, look,
on a podcast.
you're on my podcast. You never forget that whose podcast is this? This is my podcast. I am a man. Man speak now about movie. But Ken is looking for his purpose in life the same way Barbie is looking for her purpose. And it's what it means to be a man, what it means to be a woman, what it means to be a concept or an idea, which, there's a lot of meta stuff going on in the movie. And the fact that none of that stuff takes you out of it to the degree where you're not invested in the character's emotional journey. And like you said, there's a wonderful performance from America Ferrera and her daughter and their relationship, which is kind of, in a lot of ways, she's almost like the protagonist of the movie because she's the one real character who is also the sort of proxy for all the girls who've ever played with Barbie or with dolls in general. But it's the production design is unbelievable. The sets are amazing. There's lots of practical effects that you wouldn't even notice. So Cara, that's Moses. Moses. Yes, Moses, I'm getting to that.
Our beautiful chocolate Labrador. Good boy, Mama.
So Moses is quite rightly saying, get to Mattel's cinematic slate. The new MCU, the Mattel Cinematic Universe, where the toy company Mattel has roughly about 45 different...
Are you serious?
What?
Are you serious with this?
Yes.
45 different...
movies.
Stop it.
In development based on their toy line.
Stop it. So hang on, who do they own?
Well, I'm going to go through it.
Okay.
So here are the movies that are in active development.
Oh my God.
As opposed to the ones that are just kind of pie in the sky stuff. I don't know if they want to make these all sort of individual separate movies or if they want them all to be existing within the same universe. So Barney the Dinosaur, for example, would cross over with... I don't know if they're going to have like an Avengers style team up.
Multiverse.
Or Barney, Barbie, Hot Wheels, Polly Pocket all like team up to fight Skeletor, whom they also own. So here are the movies that are in development from Mattel. So Hot Wheels is also...
Hot Wheels, remind me of Hot Wheels.
Hot
They're
Wheels,
just cars, aren't they?
They're just cars. Luke has several of them.
Oh yeah, those are the ones Luke has.
Yes. Hot
Tiny,
Wheels.
they get under your foot. If you stand on them, they hurt like a...
Yes, they are made of metal and they're tiny cars, which, unless you're Godzilla, is painful to step on. And also, they have kind of like loop-de-loop tracks that you can buy.
Oh, why don't we have those?
Because we just haven't got around to it yet.
Oh, we should get those.
We should definitely get them before June 2025, when the Hot Wheels movie comes out.
And their prices skyrocket.
So I have a quote here from the director, probably producer of Hot Wheels, who has not made a movie since 2019. And that movie he made was Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, which is a fucking terrible fucking film. So J.J. Abrams, as his comeback movie, going to make Hot Wheels. So this is...
But he made lots of good films, didn't he?
He made
Star Trek
sequels. His first movie was Mission Impossible 3. And then he directed...
Really intense energy right now.
He directed Star Trek, the reboot of Star Trek.
I liked that one,
which
yeah.
is good. And Star Trek Into Darkness,
Yeah, that
which
was
is
very
fucking
sexy.
terrible.
Loved that.
It's not sexy.
I thought it was really good. definitely went to that.
Well, yeah. There's sexy men
Put
in
that
it and sexy women. And there is that scene where that lady takes her clothes off for no reason
Yeah.
other than us to go, oh, look at that sexy woman. No Klingons do it.
You usually like that.
No Vulcans do it. I do, but there's a time and a place for that. And it's called incognito mode. So Abrams, who really has only made one small personal movie, which was the medium budgeted movie Super 8,
Oh, yeah.
which is like a
I
kind
didn't
of
enjoy
a,
that.
like Steven Spielberg's cousin made a movie. Yeah, not great, but he's made sequels, 2 Star Wars sequels, 2 Star Trek sequels, and Mission Impossible 3. And now, after a long hiatus of 6 years, he's hoping to have Hot Wheels, the movie, out. And here's his quote about the production of this movie. For a long time, we were talking to Mattel about Hot Wheels, and we couldn't quite find the thing that clicked, that made it worthy of what Hot Wheels, that title, deserved. Then we came up with something emotional and grounded and gritty. Like, what?
Well, I'm sold. That sounds good.
I mean, he's essentially like, maybe his emotional and grounded and gritty is like, what if Hot Wheels was like Fast and Furious? Because they've made 10 of those movies and they kind of work. So I don't know what kind of angle he's gonna go for on the Hot Wheels, because there's not much of a story there. It's just fast cars and Hot Wheels. Now Barney.
Well, we can circle back to this in 2 years' time and you can eat those words, Ed.
Okay, we'll see what happens. Now the Barney movie.
I would imagine that's going to be a banger.
Oscar-winning actor Daniel Kaluuya
Okay.
would star in and produce a film about the large purple dinosaur.
Interesting.
So the vice president of Mattel Films, Kevin McKeown, you got to have a Kevin in charge of your MCUs, revealed that the movie will be, quote, surrealistic and not intended for children. Now, there was a rumor that it was going to be an R-rated movie, as in over 18s. And Kevin was quoted as saying, we're leaning into the millennial angst of the property rather than fine-tuning this for kids. It's really a play for adults. Not that it's R-rated, but it'll focus on some of the trials and tribulations of being 30-something, growing up with Barney, just the level of disenchantment within the generation. Right. So trials and tribulations, disenchantment, angst. This is the sort of story you want from a movie about a large purple dinosaur that talks to kids. You know, hey kids, I'm on antidepressants. And then they count along as he pops them in his mouth. I guess that's what. I mean, any interest in that in a angsty Barney movie?
No, I hate Barney.
It kind of sounds like they're going for, I don't know if it's like a surrealistic, it kind of sounds like they're going for the same sort of thing as Barbie. Although this movie was announced before Barbie was released, and the initial announcement of it, people didn't believe it. They thought it was a joke. So I don't know what they're going to do with that one. Is it going to be like a black comedy or something? I have no idea. Now this next one, probably the most promising sounding of all these so far, Polly Pocket. You mentioned her before.
I did.
MGM announced that they would be adapting a film based on the miniature dolls, which were created by Bluebird Toys before being acquired by Mattel.
Okay.
So Polly Pocket was adopted.
And what's that going to be about?
It'll be directed and written by Lena Dunham.
That just sounds like a parody, doesn't it?
Yeah. And Lily Collins is starring as Polly Pocket.
Okay.
And she's also going to be a producer on the movie. According to Variety, the live-action movie will centre on a young girl and a pocket-sized woman who form a friendship. Collins added in a July 2023 statement that it will also, quote, reintroduce Polly to the world in a fun, modern way, bringing these tiny toys to the big screen. I mean, you know, I can see how that would work. Lena Dunham is a very talented writer.
I feel like I'd watch that on a plane.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that's...
It's when I like to nap on and off. I'm going to
Sure.
watch something.
Sure, that's high praise. Next one is Major Matt Mason. Never heard of him.
No.
Originally, it was going to be a movie in 2011 starring Tom Hanks. He's like an astronaut, action man.
You said there was 45 of these. Are you going to read through all 45?
No, these are just the ones that are closest to production.
Okay.
Also, Big Jim, who is pretty much the same as the Major, just an action figure. Like, there's very little plot or backstory with a lot of these guys. Now, Thomas and Friends.
Thomas the Tank Engine?
Oh, the very same.
Oh, we love Thomas the Tank Engine.
So, after the success of the TV show, which ran from 1985 to 2021.
I didn't know it was finished.
It's quite a run. Mattel announced, it was kind of, I think it's had sort of hiatuses between those years. It hasn't been running concurrently from 85. I think they have like little breaks and then they come back with a new one. Mark Forrester.
I don't know who that is.
He directed Quantum of Solace, maybe the worst James Bond movie. So I don't know what this means, but he's directing a 4-quadrant family adventure that blends both live action and animated elements. Thomas has been a personal favourite of mine since childhood. I couldn't be more excited to be working with Robbie and the entire team at Mattel and embarking on this beautiful journey with such a timeless property, Forrester said in a statement at the time, in a bath full of money. American Girl. Ever heard of that?
Oh, yes. It's American Girl dolls.
Yeah, so these are these kind of hippie-looking dolls where the girls have pretty normal-looking faces. You know, they look like human girls. Not that kind of... Because Barbie's a little bit unrealistic. Yeah. But the movie kind of goes into that. So that's going to be a family comedy. That's all we know about that. Magic 8 Ball.
Stop it.
The movie.
Stop it.
I think this is good. I think this is a good one. So the Magic 8 Ball movie will probably be a PG-13 thriller as opposed to a kid-friendly film. And it kind of makes sense because it's going to be produced by the horror Blumhouse Productions, which have done all the Insidious movies, and they just do scary films and on a kind of a low budget and make a shit ton of money. So that makes sense, like an 8 ball with, you know, magical powers. So you ask a question and whatever, and it, you know.
I mean, I'm definitely not going to watch that, I think.
I think that probably has the potential to be one of the most profitable.
Even better than Polly Pocket.
Even better than Polly Pocket. Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Stop it.
You know these guys?
No.
One's red, one's blue. You press buttons and...
I'm already so bored.
They punch until one of the head flies off. Now, they already did this. Real Steel with Hugh Jackman is a movie where robots fight each other, but they have trainers that train them. And I don't see how this movie will be any different to that movie.
Wasn't there another film that had, like, there was people inside giant super robots and they had to fight some kind of alien monster?
Yes, that is Pacific Rim.
Yes.
And there was a sequel to that as well.
Like, how do you top that?
So Vin Diesel is set to star and produce in the Rock'em Sock'em Robots movie. And finally, and there's a couple that seem like the least likely to be made into a movie that would be in any way interesting. Viewmaster, which is like a little thing you put up to your eyes and you flick a thing and another picture comes over and you flick a thing and it's Niagara Falls, you flick a thing and it's the Grand Canyon. So apparently that's getting its own movie.
I feel like that was quite a dated toy when I was young.
Oh, yeah.
29 years ago, 25 years ago?
It was invented in 1939.
Wow.
So it predates World War II.
So kids who've grown up with phones and iPads are going to be like, what is this?
What is this? And they'll be like, come on.
What is the purpose?
Hitler used to look through it and say, I will take over the world. That's how he got the idea for world domination, through looking at the Viewmaster. Yeah. Uno, it's a party game. Do you know this game?
Yes.
I've never even heard of it.
This is a game, I'm really bored of all these films already. Like, I hate them all.
Well, rapper Lil Yachty is reportedly attached to star in the Uno movie.
Well, I'm a big fan of him, so I probably would go and see anything he's in.
Okay. Then there's Masters of the Universe, which of course was made into a movie in 1987, which I saw in the cinema and was bored by, starring Dolph Lundgren as He-Man, aka Prince Adam. They are hoping to turn this into a new action kind of fantasy franchise. There's potential there. So that's all the movies on the Mattel slate.
Well, I take back saying that I want everyone to have to watch Barbie films because it sounds like we're all going to be force-fed Mattel films for the rest of our lives.
What about a Barbie sequel?
No, they've done it now. Leave it.
You wouldn't want to see a sequel to Barbie.
No, I think it was a really good standalone. Don't do it. Don't touch it.
But surely that last line in some ways is setting up a sequel.
Maybe.
Okay. Yeah, it's got a killer sort of mic drop, very last line in Barbie. That's not a spoiler. It's just you'll be waiting for it now when you go see it. So, Cara, Barbie,
Loved it.
the greatest movie ever made?
Ever made.
Is it like they made Godfather Part 4 and it's amazing?
I think it's better than all the Godfathers put together. And anything Martin Scorsese has ever made, it is better than that.
I'm sure.
What else do you like that I can?
Well, that's the thing. I'm sure Martin Scorsese would appreciate this because his beef with modern movies is that they're a roller coaster ride with no actual characters or nothing to say. And I think Barbie is that rare movie that is entertaining, funny, but also thoughtful, of its time, but will actually age very well, and in some ways will become probably like a kind of a period movie. In like 20 years' time, we'll look back at it and go, oh my God. And just a good time, a good fun time.
Everyone
and
should go watch it.
under 2 hours as well, which for me is a great recommendation because movies are far too long. I say this, I will be going to see the 3-hour Oppenheimer movie probably next week. And we might have a follow-up episode on that. You won't say. Cara's just, she's turned off now. She's just eating an ice cream. That was what that noise was. She doesn't want to watch Oppenheimer at all, even if it does star Cillian Murphy in the lead role. So this has been Edwin Salmon of Knowledge. Thank you very much for listening. If you can take some time to review us, that would be great on Apple, on Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you can recommend us to a friend, that would be great. If you can recommend us to an enemy, that would be even better and would probably mean that you've moved on and you've reached some breakthrough in your personal life where you're reaching out to your enemies. It's always a good time. So we will be back with another episode. This one is going out the same week as the first episode that we recorded about the Kardashians. Hope you enjoyed that one. And the next episode will be about Fleetwood Mac's album Rumours. Little potted history on that. So that's all from me. Goodbye from me, Ed.
This is Cara. Bye. Hang on, let me say something normal.
This is all staying in. I have the power of editing, and I can.
Thank you so much for listening.
Oh, don't.
Okay,
wait until I've stopped talking. It's harder for me to edit that.
Okay, ready?
So it's goodbye from me, Ed.
And goodbye from me, Cara.
Yeah, that'll do.
Thanks for listening to us.